So here are we with Charlie Kirk as he explained the effect of open border to leftist students, even though the dialogue was getting heated, at some point, but then it's a very interesting one. So without any further ado, let's get on to the video and then check this out.
I mean, just the whole environment with this and the cameras and everything to me is like not conducive to healthy conversation. I think it's inherently threatening to a lot of people.
I'm sitting behind the table with my arms.
You're not physically threatening me. I don't think you. I mean.
But then, if you're emotionally threatened, who cares?
Wow.
That's my point. I'm emotionally threatened by all of this. So
feelings mean nothing in the world. No one cares about how you feel except yourself and maybe your mother. Okay. Feelings are irrelevant.
Well, you're here sharing your feelings with everybody.
No, I'm sharing my logic, my facts and thoughts. I haven't told you once how I feel. There's a difference. Feelings and facts are two different biochemical systems in how the mind and the body operates. Feelings are based on emotion, rising blood levels, blood pressure, so on and so forth. Facts and logic are over long periods of time through reflection and through using math, science, and analysis of data.
I disagree.
No, that's what I'm saying. So I'm not telling anyone how I feel, I'm telling people how I think. It's a big difference.
Okay. Hey, I got a question.
Sure. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Nice to see you. Yes.
I see you're big. If you have your own photo and everything like that. So I just want to comment on the hat and the shirt.
Sure.
Everyone's entitled to their opinions. I completely respect that. Live your life. But a lot of immigrants do come here undocumented, and my family and I being one of them, and we contribute to the economy. I'm a graduate student with 3.75 GPA, very smart guy. Immigration isn't perfect in a lot of ways. I think instead of focusing on increasing border, I think it's definitely important to just focus on lubricating the immigration process to be fair, impartial, and quick.
I would agree with some of that, but jumping the border is not immigration.
Yeah, well, what do you think about the kids that didn't have a choice?
Their parents should be deported.
And the kids?
I think maybe given a second chance.
Really?
Yeah.
The immigration reform bill talked about that.
Trump actually would have allowed the Dreamers to stay, and the Democrats opposed it. And why do I wear an ICE hat? Because the #1 population ICE goes after are child sex traffickers. They've arrested 14,000 child sex traffickers this year, 14,000. The second population that ICE goes after are MS-13 gang members, of which no one can make a moral defense that it's a good thing that the MS-13 population in America is growing. U.S. Border Patrol is called a racist organization. 56% of Border Patrol agents are Hispanic.
Well, I have no way to check your sources.
That's fine. You can independently check them.
Can I give some?
One second. Let me.
Good news.
There's a point. All I just want to say is that undocumented people that came here when they were young or whatever age they came here, we do contribute to your economy.
No doubt, and I think there's a logical argument to be made that someone who didn't make the choice to go over the border should not be penalized for that at an age below a certain level. But it's not fair to the immigrants from Bulgaria and from Indonesia and from Central Africa who didn't have the opportunity to jump the border, that had to wait decades to get into this country, that will reward people that just happen to be closer to the border, broke the immigration laws, domiciled themselves here, call themselves immigrants when they're really border jumpers.
Okay, well, you're entitled to your opinion.
No, I appreciate it. Yes,
all I
but
just want to say is that we do contribute to your
I think that we could actually find common ground, that people such as yourself should be allowed to stay and be productive. But your parents did break federal immigration law, and there has to be some sort of recourse to that, or else it will never stop. Chicago.
Where are their parents from?
My parents are from Mexico, but the point is that that's the whole argument.
Originally, my great-grandparents came here from Poland legally. They didn't jump the border.
Well, I'm a proud Mexican, still a citizen and all. Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you for sharing your
Well,
opinion.
do you realize what happens, you go across the border? You realize it's a metaphor, right?
Yeah, I grew up 15 minutes from the border.
Okay, so then why is it that 95% of Border Patrol agents support building a wall? Wouldn't they know best how to secure our border?
Where are you pulling that metric?
95%?
The Border Patrol Association.
I've never heard that metric.
Okay, you can fact check anything I want. I encourage you guys to look it up. I'm sorry? No, 1 second, I want to...
Just 95% seems...
95% of Border Patrol agents.
Yeah, you can though.
Okay, but again, type in 95% Border Patrol agents.
That aren't dictated by math.
Okay, again, facts don't care about your feelings,
I
but
believe you that it's a fact. But
Wait, facts?
don't care about feelings.
Personifying the word fact?
Well, Do facts bother you? Do facts bother you that 13,000 kids are trafficked across the border every single year? Or millions of guns? Or that 90% of heroin and fentanyl in this country come across the southern border? Or that MS-13 in America is growing, which is predominantly illegal immigrants? Does that bother you?
I'm just more on the 95% of...
95% of Border Patrol agents support building the wall. Art Del Curo, who is the vice president of the Border Patrol Association, has publicly said it and released that data. You can ask yourself, what percentage of Border Patrol agents support building the wall?
I'd support something that helped my job security too.
Okay, but Border Patrol agents are threatened, assaulted, and killed on the front lines by people that come across the border.
This is such a false narrative. There's no war zone going on.
What about the
You know
people
how
in
many
Mexico, though?
It's like 0.001% that's
So-
MS-13, and Trump puts this narrative.
Okay,
oh,
so
all
let's
criminals
look at
and
the
rapists and
facts.
stuff.
So illegal immigrants
That is a
committed
fact.
54,000 assaults last year. There's
So
fif-
did,
there's
what
fif-
are the numbers of
there-
actual
there's-
citizens
there-
that committed worse?
But the illegals shouldn't be here in the first place.
The
That's the point.
illegals.
Yes,
The illegals.
correct.
You know, we all live on the same planet. Borders
Sure,
are
so-
made up, man. The planet's dying.
Okay, so great
Like,
question.
stop
Why
caring.
do borders matter? Because borders are a distinction and a physical delineation of when good ideas start and bad ideas start.
Because of
For
what
example,
fucking
for
old
example,
white men
Are you saying the
300
United
years
States is
ago
the good
decided
side and the
that
other
without
side
a
is
doubt,
the bad side?
our laws are much more moral than the laws in Mexico, without a shadow of a doubt. We have due process, we have cross-examination of witnesses, we have the rule of law.
Okay. I don't agree that the U.S. government system is better than the Mexican system.
The
in a lot of
Mexican
ways.
Constitution is not even comparable to the United States
I
Constitution.
don't disagree.
Okay, so would you agree that where North Korea ends and South Korea ends, that line means something?
I think
Or when-
that is
Or when East and West Germany
false
ends?
equivalency.
So if you believe
the
in
North
a-
Korean border situation has no equivalent in the modern world.
No, but
I don't
I'm
think
saying
you can use it
borders-
as a comparison to the
Well,
U.S.-Mexican
borders matter.
Agree?
Oh, you just said they don't matter. We're all on the same earth.
They matter when it's a communist dictatorship state that literally kills
What
people
about
into the Holocaust.
what about a
Mexico's
lawless
not
country
doing
like
that.
Mexico that is run by
Say
cartels?
that again, sir.
Lawless.
Say that again.
Mexico. Okay, how many politicians were killed during the last election cycle?
Lawless.
580 politicians were killed in Mexico last year running for political office. The cartels run the country of Mexico.
Okay.
Can't refer to the whole place as lawless.
Mexico
They
is
select-
generally not the greatest place in North America right now.
Yeah, so the solution is to not let them come here, right?
No, well, the solution is a lot of different things. First and foremost, you protect your own country because you care about your citizens, not because you hate the people on the outside.
Wow.
Secondly, if the walls don't work, why does Mexico have a wall on their southern border with Guatemala?
Are you saying that wall works? I don't know.
Yes, it does. It works quite well.
What are you using to prove that metric?
You know what
What
happens
makes
when
it
you-
work?
Well, because they have lower illegal immigration rates from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador coming in their country than we do with Mexico
I
and the United
believe that
States.
100%.
What
I don't
happens
think it
when
has anything to do
you know
with
what
the
happens when you
physical wall
illeg-
on
you know what
the
happens when you illegally immigrate to Mexico? You get deported back to your home country. Why don't we do the same? That's one thing to do right.
Sounds like we should let them over here to enforce
I'm pretty sure we
our
do
laws,
that
'cause they have
all the time.
right to
No, we have that we know of 15 to 20 million illegal immigrants in this country. And it's not fair to the legal immigrants from Bulgaria or from Ukraine or from Central Africa that had to wait many decades
Nobody
to come
needs
in
to
this country.
escape Bulgaria, okay?
Well, they
People
did. They
need to
did
es-
after the fall of the Soviet Union.
Okay, well, how about people in Honduras who are being killed
Sure,
in the streets?
we should allow more legal immigrants into America.
Oh, okay.
Legal immigrants and border jumpers are two totally different things. Those that decide not to fill out the forms to come into America,
So if we get here, we instead of sending them back, we should keep their child and send the parents back.
I've never said anything close
Oh,
to that.
that's why are there 2,500 ICE kids still not
You-
united with their parents?
You mean the
all
50?
their parents got sent back to their home
So
countries.
first of all, the ICE facilities that you're talking about, most of their parents are not even actually their parents. They're being illegally trafficked across the southern border.
But see, this is how the arguments work. You just make these generic sort
Well,
of things.
it's not.
Oh,
It's
like-
not generic. The Department of
It is just
Justice. The
extremely
Department of
generic
Justice did an audit of the ICE facilities, and more than 50% of the people bringing these kids across the southern border were not their parents. They're being sex trafficked across the
I don't
southern
believe
border.
that the 2,500
Okay, you don't believe
kids
it.
in
Okay,
the-
so then we don't have anything to talk
Well,
about.
see, but that's where the debates break down in the modern society. I don't believe you, you don't believe me, and now I'm going to go to class. That's
Well, I mean,
life.
I said facts, and
There's,
you
you're
haven't.
not enabling discussion and exchange of facts to a mutual understanding. It's just like
So how is it fair to the immigrants of the rest of the world that 15 million people illegally cross the border and
cares
should be
about being
rewarded for
fair.
that?
If you're coming from a country
Well,
where
no.
you're going to die,
Okay,
then we
that's
should let
exactly
you
right.
live.
Who cares about being fair? We should be equitable, right? In our immigration policy.
I agree with the things you're saying. I don't agree with the general metrics, like 95% of them are MS-13. Or
Okay, I didn't say
every
that. I
single
said
child who's alone,
95% of Border Patrol agents support building the wall when they were serving.
you do not make compelling arguments.
Thank you. Hello.
I just what you were going to say, because I know you
Anna's
were
great.
about to say something, and then you got cut off.
Which
Something
part?
about your parents being from Mexico.
Okay, so where I was going into addressing that whole thing is the reason I look at this and this whole immigration crisis and what was happening with the child separation is it's not from a political perspective. It's frankly a humanitarian issue that's been deeply exploited by, in my opinion, a very leftist agenda. So how I kind of got involved with all this is I was working with an organization
nice to
called
see you.
Veterans for Child Rescue. So myself, I'm an Air Force veteran, and what they did is they're a non-political, non-partisan organization, and they're combating trafficking among children
That's
coming
good.
in from Mexico into the U.S. So the
Oh,
United
sorry,
States
I
has
see.
a system
No,
set
it's
up,
okay.
and it's called a T visa for victims that have been trafficked. They're not deported back to Mexico. In fact, they're kept here. I believe that when the media was using the term illegal immigrant, why were they just talking about Hispanics? Why are they just talking about Mexicans? That term is for everyone, not
Visa
just
overstays,
people coming
too.
from Mexico. And so I really kind of looked into voting demographics. So you have the Hispanic population, specifically Mexican Americans, being the largest voting minority in the United States and probably eventually going to be the biggest. How I got involved with all of this is I started reading the 2018 Human Trafficking Report, really seeing what was happening. You know, Tijuana just recently, within the last month, broke the homicide record because you have two factions of the cartels fighting over trafficking routes into the United States. So there was a system that, and frankly, the immigration system is broken, right? And you had an immigration reform bill that was looking to pacify both parties, but then you had it shot down by government officials that were Democrat. For what reason? It wasn't helping anyone. It wasn't helping the people that they were saying that they stood up for, right? So that's basically why I'm here, and I'm so supportive of that. I don't believe that this country is unwelcoming to immigrants coming into it.
We're the most pro-immigrant country in the world.
But when
we're
you
taking
don't-
half of the world's immigrants every single year.
But when you do it the wrong way, people are hurt on both sides. And you look at the correlation that we have with Mexico as our biggest trade ally, but you see what happened in the early 90s with the negotiation of NAFTA and how it actually increased the illegal immigrant population coming into the U.S. because they couldn't find jobs in population or jobs that were legal in their own country. So I think it is hand in hand, and it's our job to stand up for especially a population that people are speaking out on a political platform. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but when those children were being separated, in my opinion, it was for the right reason because you never knew who these people were bringing over. They said they're parents, but then you hear stories about people that are in Mexico right now, and they talk about how they'll give their children up in hopes of giving them a better life, and then they're just exploited because unfortunately children and humans are the only thing that you can resell. It's not like it can be confiscated and drugs. When you look at stories like Carla Hacito, who I actually spoke to her nonprofit, I'm trying to get an interview lined up on human trafficking, and she was raped 43,000 times. A lot of people don't want to hear about that number. They don't
Coming
believe that
across
it's
the southern
possible.
border.
They don't believe that it's possible, but women are forced. I don't care if you're pro-life or pro-choice. These people are treated like cattle. They have their children, if they do get pregnant by the Johns that are purchasing them, they've had them taken away, they're exploited. It's modern day slavery. And a lot of the political officials exploit it. They say they want to talk about it, protect these people, and then they don't fix the problem. So that's why I'm here right now. And I appreciate that question. I hope that answered it. It's kind of long-winded.
That's a very interesting dialogue Charlie Kirk had with some of the left students, even though they try to bring logical reasons when it comes to the border policy. But then Charlie Kirk explanation to the effect of open border to the people, you understand, is something that everyone really needs to look at it in-depthly, because when you look at it, you understand, in the aspect of the economy, you always, you understand, get everything wrong. But first of all, I think that maybe Charlie Kirk could have maybe explained more when it comes to the effect of child trafficking that is actually happening, you understand, in the border. Probably that can be able to maybe help them understand why they should not, you understand, support the illegal immigration that we are talking about, or the border jumping, because that's the word that Charlie Kirk, you understand, actually used. There are a lot of the children that they are trafficked, you understand, into the country, And it's not all of them, you understand, that really know what, you understand, they were doing. Even though I know that there are really people that we are actually running away from maybe war or some of the things that is currently happening, you understand, in the world nowadays, because everyone just feels like while you are in the US, you are actually in a safer place. So everybody tends to do whatever it takes, you understand, for him to get there. Whatever means that we're going to like help them to get there, they are very okay, you understand, with it. Because when you look at it, for instance, if you are in the US, you are free to Medicare, free to Wi-Fi, and then a lot of things that you can actually, you understand, enjoy, you understand, while you are living there. But then when you compare with some of the countries that some of us, you understand, end up coming from, we were not enjoying, you understand, some of these things. But until we travel, before we get to realize that, oh, okay, so we can actually enjoy this, we are entitled to this. But while we are in our country, we are not enjoying, you understand, some of these things. All right, so that is the reason why you see, you understand, people try to do whatever it takes, you understand, for them to get there, because you just know that there are a lot of opportunities while, you understand, you are there. Nevertheless, people, you understand, to do whatever means it takes, or whatever it takes, in a sense, for them to get there, which we can kind of argue it economically. But then when we tend to look at the effect of what is actually causing to the people, and then that is the reason why, you understand, Charlie is tend to discourage people, you understand, that do so. Because as people do so by traffic some of these children, there are some of them that, you know, they didn't know what, you understand, they were doing. And even today I got to know that, you understand, the great grandparent of Charlie Kirk were actually from Poland, right? But then all he's trying to say is that at least they get there, you understand, legally. So all he's trying to advocate for is that while you find yourself, you know, in the US, make sure that what you go there, you understand, legally. Because when you do so illegally, you are going to endanger, you understand, your children. There are so many, you know, agencies that can decide to maybe probably take the child and then end up separating the children, you understand, from their parent. And then we all understand the effect of when children grow without having, you understand, their parent, you understand, with them, by telling them, okay, this is what you should do or what you should not do. We all understand how some of these children, you understand, end up, you understand, growing and then turning into. And then that's the reason why I see it's very easy for our current, you know, educational system that will be telling you that when you grow you can decide your gender and all those things, right? All those kind of things, you understand, they can take advantage of. So that's the reason why, you understand, we want at least parents, you know, they should grow with their children. And if you want to travel to the US, make sure that at least you go there, you understand, legally. Because as it is, because of some of the crime and then the crime rate and then so many things that are currently happening in the society, and then that is the reason why you see everything is being blamed on the what, the immigrant. And then that's why, you understand, and then especially if you are someone of a color, you are of what, a very disadvantage. All right. And then the issue is, I just feels like maybe probably they need to kind of change some of this immigration policy, and then also those asylum seekers. How do we separate the asylum seekers with immigrant? And then for those who are already there, how can you be able to differentiate and know that, okay, these are legal, these are illegal, you understand, immigrant? How can you be able to, can the system be able to check some of these things? And if yes, then how can they fix some of these things? Or when you get the people and then they're illegal immigrant, probably they jump into the country, and then what if they says that, okay, we are here because we are seeking asylum? So what does the law say at that point in time? Should such people, you understand, be deported back to their respective country? Or because since they are seeking asylum, can the US, you understand, policy, or can the system, you understand, accommodate, you understand, such people, you understand, in the country? And what are the some of the social benefit that people seeking asylum can also, you understand, benefit while they are there? I would like to hear your thought and opinion, you understand, concerning some of these things, you understand, I am mentioning at the comment section. And may God bless you as you do so. So this is the end of my video. If you like my reaction, you should like, share and subscribe. If you have any video you want me to react to, don't forget to drop it at the comment section and I'm going to check it out. So you remain blessed, and I see you in my next video.